G'day beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're looking at Morigesh, we're looking at her stats, her scaling abilities, and my build for her. It's taken me quite a lot of effort to get the footage needed for this. 4.5 hours of Q dodges and people not connecting to matches when I had Morigesh selected till about 7 in the morning. And I just went straight to sleep instead of getting the video done. So I just wanted to make sure I had enough of a grasp on her before I did a video and solidified a build. So I have now, so let's get started. Alright guys, starting off as we always do, Morigesh, ranged growth corruption hero. She's burst, ganker, elusive, siege, durable. She has a 2 for basic attack power, an 8 for ability attack power, a 4 for durability, and a 4 for mobility. Alright, looking at her actual stats, she's a little bit weird. She's a pseudo this and that hero, so she starts off with 540 base health, sorry. She gets 74.14 per level to end up at 1578.0. She's actually really good in the health department. She starts off with 1.4 health regen to end up at 4.4, which is also quite good. She starts with 305 mana, which is a little bit more than a typical caster. She gets 74.8 per level to end up at 1352.4, which is also a little bit more than a normal caster. She has 1.4 base mana regen, ends up at 5.4, which is quite good. And she's a little bit weird in the basic armor department. She ends up on 23.6 basic armor, which is just a hair 1.6 over a standard caster. And she has a little bit more ability armor than every other hero at 32.6. Next up is a basic attack, which is called Dagger. It's actually quite a good basic attack. Starts at 56.7, gains 1.72 per level to end up at 80.9, which is nothing to turn your nose up at. She only has a 0.3 power scaling, meaning that for every 100 power you're going to get 30 extra damage on this, but we're not really expecting much from a basic attack from a caster. What we are expecting a lot from is her abilities. Now first up we have Swarm. Morigesh transforms into a swarm of insects, granting her movement speed and the ability to pass through enemies. When passing through enemies, you deal damage and gain a health regeneration stack. Now you can move through things, but people can still shoot you. So the ability damage starts at 43.2, ends up at 92.7, and has a 0.2675 power scaling, meaning you'll get 26.75 damage for every 100 power you put on your build. It starts off costing 90, ends up costing 144 mana, has a cooldown of 15 seconds flat. The health regeneration stacks are 6.48 to 26.28, which is really, really good. And the speed boost duration starts at 2.5 and ends up 4. I don't have a listing for the actual movement speed boost, but it's roughly around about the same as Narbash's movement speed buff that he gives everyone. Very, very good ability. It's what I actually take first, just to make sure that I can get out if getting ganked. Next up we have Hive. A hive of insects is thrown, exploding into an AoE, dealing damage over time and applying a slow with every instance of damage. The ability damage on this is 21.8 at base and 60.68 at max level. It only has a 0.128 power scaling, meaning you'll get 12.8 damage for every 100 power in your build. Costs 72 mana, ends up costing 99. Has a 15 second flat cooldown and it lasts 8 seconds. But it lasts 12 seconds on a marked target. Okay, it also grants vision of the target, which is quite handy. It allows you to keep vision on them to make sure you know when you need to ult. Now this is a very good ability, don't underestimate it. I've been toying with the notion of running it with Ash of the Witch, but I haven't actually tested that yet, so that won't be my build. But feel free to just be spamming this as much as you can. Another thing that you should be spamming, especially when you know you have a target you want to take out, is Mark. Morigesh marks a target, dealing damage and turning a doll into the shape of the targeted hero. Targets stay marked until a new hero is chosen or the marked target dies. Now the ability damage on this starts at 82.5, ends up at 246. It has a 1.08 power scaling, so you get 108 damage for every 100 power you put on your build. It has a relatively low mana cost of 67.5, ending up at 94.5 at max level. It has a 5 second cooldown. Now, the way that I generally use this is early game I try to get a rotation off on the enemy carry and keep the carry marked so that I can help out in a team fight going against the enemy carry. But when you know you want to kill someone, you really want to just get a couple of marks off until you've done enough damage with your damage over time and your mark to get this bad boy off. Curse, which is her ultimate, summons a deadly swarm of insects in Morigesh's image to stab the most recent marked target. It's a global ultimate. The ability damage starts at 192.6, ends up at 367, has a 0.98 power scaling, which is great, so you've got 98 power per 100, 98 damage per 100 power put in your build. It costs 90 mana flat, it has an 80, 70, 60 cooldown. Okay, so this is absolutely brilliant, and it's what makes her just a force to be reckoned with. If used in conjunction with her other abilities, your movement speed buff to just keep on people, your damage over time and your mark to just whittle people down, and then smack your ultimate, you will be getting kills absolutely everywhere. Now, I generally take my movement speed and health regen first, and then my damage over time, and then I will probably take, depending on how much I'm getting ganked, I'll take my movement speed again. If I'm not getting ganked, I'll go for my damage over time again, and I'll get my mark at level 4, and then grab my ultimate. From there, prioritizing anything is a good bet, but the damage over time is not to be underestimated, so it's actually handy to grab that. But I tend to go more for the health regen and movement speed buff. Just makes it easier to stay on people to do that extra little bit of damage. Now, Morigesh is a little bit dirty right now. Until everyone sort of gets used to her and her kit, she's going to be. She might calm down a little bit once people start to realize how to deal with her. She may not. She may need a little bit of a nerfy. But that's all her abilities and her stats and her scaling. So let's move on to my build for her. Alright guys, here we are over on the Epic Games website on the deck builder with my build for her that I call the Skogsra. Okay, so we'll just run through all the individual cards and then we'll go to the test build section and I'll let you know how I use it. Okay, so we take the Archmagus on this. It's going to give you the 30 power. You can consider taking the health because she does do enough with her abilities that taking that extra health might be warranted. I would probably avoid the attack speed, but it's up to you entirely. So I take for early game a mana potion and a healer token. That's what I take at the start of the game. Before I take that though, I have a Lord's Ward with nothing on it as a dummy award, so I can go and chuck that down and then back and grab these two. We have a healer, Guardian's Ward rather, with a major cast and 2 greater healths. We have a Shadow Scroll with, or 2 Shadow Scrolls with 2 major casts and a major shock. Okay, we have another Shadow Scroll with 3 minor casts. Another 2 just for the early game, so that's 3 6-point Shadow Scrolls in total. We have Thick Blood with a minor cast and 2 casts. A Quenching Scales with 3 basic sparks, yes. And a Tainted Magic with 2 basic sparks and a spark. Okay, so if we go over to the chest build section, right, as I said, I will grab my ward, chuck that down, grab these 2. My early game cards are 3 Shadow Scrolls and a Quenching Scales, so I will end up with something that looks like this towards the earlier game. Okay, 27 CP in, that is quite a good build for her. Running 18 pen, 72 power, a little bit of extra health, health regen and mana regen, and that's not finished, so there you go. But then from there, we get rid of 2 of these. We get rid of these guys, obviously. We have our Guardian's Ward, our Shadow Scrolls, our Tainted Magic, and our Thick Blood. Okay? So, the way that I would normally do this is, obviously, I'm getting these 2 cards first, the Healer Token, the Mana Potion, my 3 Shadow Scrolls first. I slot my ward. I don't want to tell you when to take your ward. You should obviously take it as soon as humanly possible, but it gets slotted in there at any point in time, okay? Just replacing your mana potion, preferably. And then from there, you obviously want to build your 3 Shadow Scrolls and your Quenching Scales, okay? If you're going to be getting rid of your Quenching Scales, you want to get rid of it for Tainted Magic, because you're going to need the mana regen, okay? So keep that for as long as you can. And then just simply swap out these 2 for the stronger Shadow Scrolls, and then grab the Thick Blood whenever you can. The Thick Blood is going to apply Blight for 4 seconds, which reduces healing by 40%, so it's really, really good. So looking at the full build, that's 174 power, 30 ability penetration. She ends up on 1978 health. She ends up on 5.8 health regen, 1382 mana, and 6.9 mana regen. So they're really, really good stats. If you take a look at what her stuff does, we'll just get this to max level. And Curse, as you see, you do about 537, 538 with her ultimate, 139 damage on each hit with the Swarm, 83 damage ticks on her Hive, and 433.92 with a mark. So you can see within 10 seconds, landing 2 marks and your Hive, generally people aren't going to live when you let that ultimate off. It is quite dirty. So once again, guys, just to sort of go through it, because I know that was a little bit confusing that I did it before. So take a Lord's Ward, throw it down, get rid of it. Grab your healer token and your mana potion. I would probably recommend that at this point when you're back, you grab your Guardian's Ward, okay? And then get back out there. Grab a Shadow Scroll and max it out on your next back. And then the same again, and the same again, okay? Getting Quenching Scales whenever you feel like you need it, because I don't want to tell you to take it before your Shadow Scrolls if you're not getting ganked and you don't feel like you need it, if you're rotating and getting kills and you're not losing too much health, okay? So take this whenever you feel like you need it, okay? And get rid of your mana potion when you do so, okay? So then you'll have a build that looks like this. Obviously, we're not slotting into this stuff. If you want to keep your healer token at this point, just slot into your ward and finish your ward off. You'll end up with a beautiful amount of health on there. And then from here, I would just definitely go into my Shadow Scrolls first. So replacing these 2 Shadow Scrolls, get your pen as early as possible. Okay, and then from there, I would get rid of my healer token and grab Thick Blood, because it does really come in handy. It stops people from having the ability to just heal enough to not die from their ultimate. And then obviously getting rid of Quenching Scales last and grabbing Tainted Magic, which once again, it's just applying a poison stack that is doing a little bit more damage and stopping them from healing from just enough to live from your ultimate. So that's my build for her, guys. I will leave a link to this in the description down below so you can have a look at it yourself and copy it. Let me know how you go with this in the comments down below. Let me know if you have any suggestions on something else to add to this or to take away from this. Leave me a like if you enjoyed this video in any way, shape or form. Subscribe if you're not already. But as per usual, guys, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.